And mental health is something that we don't talk about enough. In the black community, well, we're massively overrepresented in the mental health institutions, even more so than in the prisons. And again, these are questions we have to ask. Well, why?
You know, but once you get a control and an understanding of who you are, no one can use you against you. No one can ever use your mental illness against you. You've already spoke about it. So what you got?
The biggest point in life to resolve mental health is like giving a fuck about a person.
Where did you get the courage? I got the courage. The 2 words. I care.
It's Chill Will Radio, where connections will be made, advice will be given, jokes will be told, and things will get real. My name is Willis Cooks, and I'm your host. But understand this show is not meant to be used as a substitute for a relationship with a licensed mental health professional. Enjoy the show, y'all.
All right, folks. All right, good folks. Good morning, good folks. Good morning, good ladies. Good morning, good gentlemen. Good morning, good guys. Good morning, good fellas. Good morning, good women. Good morning, good people. Good morning, good everybody. Hope everybody's morning, Tuesday morning, is not as cold as mine. It's fucking freezing. It's cold. It's freezing. It's raining. It's been like this for a minute. It's crazy with all this little COVID stuff starting to kick back up. These rates, it's just I always have to put a stamp on the fact that people is going to get sick this time anyway, y'all. Take care of yourself regardless of if it's COVID. Take care of yourself regardless as if it's COVID. Okay? Take care of yourself regardless if it's COVID. People gonna get colds, people gonna get flus, people gonna get COVID, people gonna get whatever it is. But weather's changing, things are changing, transitional phases is going on, and this shit feels weird. Like, this shit feels weird because this is literally like my last solo show. This is my last solo show. And it's been a good 3 years. It's been a wild 3 years. It's been a 3 years that has caused me to learn a lot about myself. It's been 3 years that has caused me to focus in areas that I need to be focused on and not focus in areas that I think that I need to get focused on. Right? It's allowed me to find myself in different ways, to surprise myself in different ways. One portion of it I kind of already knew from the standpoint of like, hey, I can, speak well and I can get on the mic and hold a conversation pretty nicely. Like, that's never been an issue, but certain things around career paths and what you think you should do because you're at a certain place in your life and things of those sorts. I could say being here was a good way for me to vent. Being here was a good way for me to vent. Being here was a good way for me to process things. It was a good way for me to facilitate those thoughts that I sometimes didn't even know nothing about. Sometimes a lot of the thoughts that I have and a lot of the things that I spoke about were things that just pop up on the show. And then as I listen back to the show on another day or I think about it afterwards, it like the light bulb kind of goes off. Right? So this show has been a avenue for me to be able to fully facilitate those things. And that's like the most important fact, the most important thing that I've gotten from here. Right? The fact that this show and being here these 3 years and not even to mention working with the family, but just the Chill Will radio show. Right. I remember the name. I remember when me, Keith, was coming up with names for the show. And what did I have it called? It was called like Moving with Gumption or some shit like that. It's like Moving with Gumption or some shit like that. Because like gumption is like moving like with the fuck does it mean again? It's like a southern word. Moving with like I can't even remember what it means, but it's moving with something powerful, moving with something good. The show could have been called Moving with Gumption. It was like, that wasn't it. Chill Will fit me. Chill Will fit my personality. Chill Will fit the person who I am, the person who I was, and the person who I became. Right? Always been a chill guy. And I think that this show has allowed me to be, I've always been confident and comfortable in the fact that I'm just a relaxed person and I'm not one to kind of lose my head too much. I'm not one to really care about, not to say care about much, I just don't care about the things people care about. Don't care about the things certain people care about. And the things I do care about, I love. But so that causes me to be a little bit more chill. But this show has given me a place for me to vent. It's given me a place for me to welcome and giving me a place for me to be myself in certain ways, to open up and be new in certain ways. And I appreciate that. Right? I think when it comes to transitional phases, because that's what this is, right? That's the reason why the show's ending, right? It's a transitional phase. When we come across transitional phases and we hold on to things that we think that's supposed to come along with us, we need to let it go, because if we don't let it go when life is telling us to let it go, and the energy and the vibe and everything around you is telling you to let certain things go, what's going to happen is that thing is going to begin to tarnish. That thing is going to begin to rot. That thing is going to begin to become negative. And as it becomes negative, you're not going to be able to leave the way you want to leave. You're not going to be able to leave your mark on it the way you want to leave your mark on it. And it's going to cause you so much more pain in the future. It's okay to transition out of things. Everything is going to come to an end. Everything has a starting place and everything has an ending place, right? Everything will come to an end at some point in time, but it's important that you have control over when it ends. You have control over when it ends, right? And when you have control over when something ends, when you have control over when you decide to transition, you can always come back. You can always come back, start new, start fresh, start with some new ideas, start with new folks, just start over. But you can always, those bridges that was there, they're not going to burn. They're not going to die out. Have control over your transitional phases. Have control over the things that you move forward with. Because if you don't have control over these things are going to begin to have control over you, right? Because if I would have never made the decision to transition out and end the show at this, and this is an appropriate time, it's the last show, it's the end of the year. The end of the year. I started towards the end of the year and I'm ending towards the end of the year. So that was a good thing. If I didn't transition when it was time for me to transition right now, it probably would have started to decline. Right? Because I was in a negative space. Not really with it. Yeah, I was in a negative space with the show. And because at one point in time I was forcing it. And I'm never the guy to sit here and try to force things. Never the guy to sit here and try to force things. But I was forcing it for a second. And I had to reevaluate, why was I forcing this? Because my life is moving in a different direction. I'm doing different things. I'm a part of different groups, and those groups don't call for this. And that's okay. Because the previous groups that I was in, the previous things that I was doing caused for this. The previous things that I wanted to figure out caused for this. Now that I figure things out, the next group doesn't call for this. So when you try to bring something old into something new, that old thing is going to begin to rot. That old thing is going to begin to rot, and a new thing is going to begin to be brought down because of the old thing, by the old thing. So when you're in those transitional phases, don't be afraid to walk out. Don't be afraid to leave, because there's nothing wrong with it. A lot of us hold on to jobs that we be afraid to quit because the coworkers are nice. Even though the job is like shit, even though the job is trash, we stay at that job because I fuck with my coworkers so heavy. My coworkers is the reason why I'm there. And granted, I have a job like that, but it's not as shitty for me because I do what I want, and they like understand that they're not gonna tell me what to do and what not to do. I go do my work and bounce. They know what's up. But for some individuals, at a job in which you're constantly being micromanaged, constantly being belittled, but even though your manager is shit and your supervisor is shit, your immediate coworkers are the greatest people ever. So it's like, yo, I can't leave because I'm gonna leave them. But what you gotta understand is if that relationship is so good, that relationship isn't gonna be tied to the job. Same with the folks on the network. That relationship is so good, the relationship isn't going to be tied to the network. The relationship to the show, the relationship to the folks on the network isn't going to be tied to the show. You know, Chill Will Radio, the show may be ending, but Chill Will ain't going nowhere, right? I'm going to be back on this mic. I'm going to be back here in these studios, back here in the studio on other people's shows, random pop-ups, let people know I ain't there yet, and I'm still here. But the show itself may be gone. And that's the biggest thing, right? Evaluating those relationships, making sure you have control over that transitional phase, and making sure you close out things when you want them to close out. I think this show for me had many ups and downs. It caused me to get to many places to where I wasn't sure about things, and I was extremely confident about stuff. Like I said, this mic was an outlet. So now I got to find a different outlet. Maybe it'll allow me to open up in other areas that I know I should open up to. So this shit feels really weird. This shit feels really weird. I'm not the emotional guy, so I'm not gonna sit here and lie and be like, I'm getting emotional, man. It's not, nah, that's not me. But it just feels weird. It feels strange. Because you've been doing this consistently for so long, it's like, damn, no more. I'd like to thank everybody on the network. Keith, biggest supporter. All of the shows that supported. Everybody that came through and was a guest on the show. From the very first guest to the very last guest. Any and everybody that actually came through. If you listen to the show, I appreciate you. If you asked about the show, I appreciate you. If you follow the Instagram page, I appreciate you. If you even thought about listening to the show, I appreciate you. Because the one thing I can say I'm proud of is I've accomplished the things that I wanted to accomplish with this show. Right? I did. This was like show number 221, I believe. I believe it's 221. That's a high number of shows compared to the average amount of shows that come up here. Podcasts in general, not even just on the good news, but all around. This podcast don't last that long. 3 years consistently, every week. And then almost for like a good year and a half, it was 2 shows a week. Yeah. Proud of myself for that. Proud of the consistency that comes forth with it. But I'm proud of everybody on this network for giving me a shot. For allowing me to come through, talk my shit. Allow myself to be open with the way I look at mental health. Because that was the thing. I've always made it a standpoint to this show isn't going to be the typical I'm suicidal mental health show. I'm depressed mental health show. That's the furthest from it. I did one show on that and I was like, yo, that's the worst show ever. And that was my first show I had. And I was like, I'm never going back to that. And I stuck to that. I stuck to the way I believe mental health should be. I stuck to the way that I believe mental health fits with me, fits with the type of person I am. And that's the thing with anything else in life. When it comes to a therapist, when it comes to you finding assistance for your mental health, when it comes to you finding assistance in life, find things that fit for you. Never go the textbook route. Never go the route that you think is going to be right just because that's what Instagram is saying. No, fuck that. Find the assistance in the thing that works for you. Find a therapist that works for you, that speaks your language at a tone in which you can understand. Which is why for me here on this show, I spoke at a tone in which I could understand. I spoke at a tone in which I was comfortable at. I spoke at a tone in which I was proud of. Because if I would have got on here, it was like, well, these are the 6 steps to not be suicidal. And these are the 6 steps. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just not me. And I think above all else, make sure you are you. You are living within you. And it's tough. It could be hard. It could be draining. But in many areas throughout this world, it's the most important thing. All right. So I know it's been like a lot of pauses this show and a lot of like mellow and chill like energy and stuff, but like that's where it's at. I don't have the super excitement. It just feels weird. So I guess that's the emotional side. I guess that's the emotional side, the bittersweet energy that I have right now. So it's crazy because it's gonna be the last time I'm saying this. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for tuning in. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for coming with me down this road. And as always, y'all remember, ain't no wealth without your mental health. So please stay blessed. Take care of yourself. Be great, y'all. Peace.